don't ever worry about getting on plane, and don't worry about having lag. They're the two worst things you can even try to do. So when he gets to here and he goes this way, the only way for him to play from there now is to do this. And so he's not using his hands. So he's fading it. He's got touch, I'm sure. He feels something. But when he's hitting it, he's just like, I'm not really trying to fade it. It's just fading. So that's why it's a safe shot. Whereas if a lot of guys that fade it, they've kind of got to come here more. But the danger about when they come from here, if they get the mass of the club on their hands, the club opens up again. So Cameron's able to bring it back here, and then just from there, it basically just looks like a sidearm pitcher.
He was talking about, you know, what Hogan didn't have. No, his
Hogan
data,
had the same. Do you remember when I sent you the thing about Hogan? Remember the picture? So the picture it's called Blob Hogan, right? So it's just a blob of him. So they had some biomechanics put together, kind of how he would look in an avatar in today's technology. And the pictures are identical to the Golf Digest shoot we did with him, right? So the thing is, to be able to make these beautiful swings, you got to be able to move. And my roommate, Craig Davies, is his chiro. And Davies will sometimes, I'll go in just to assess, like, where's he at with his body and all this. And he's like, hey, man, he can, like, stabilize his right leg today because he's got almost too much rotation in his hips. I never hear that over 13 years. He's the only one. So the other one you find that has that is Rory, and the other one you ever find that is Tommy Fleetwood. So if you look at those three guys, they can create a lot of speed and hit a ball and just finish here because their ability to manage how much they can move and turn. So he's literally was designed to bend over and rotate. Most of us aren't, and then we do things all week where we're not turning or moving anyways.
The way that you can turn away from a golf ball, you mentioned Rory, 123 degrees, he's turning his left shoulder in this direction. If we do a third of that's pretty good. What club is that, by the way?
This is a 6-iron.
That's 6-iron.
Yeah.
Your stock 6-iron, which you were telling me earlier, is about 85% of what you are
Yeah.
in terms of what you can produce. Is what yardage-wise?
You know, for me, stock 6. You know, it's in this weather, it's rough. It's probably 200, 205.
What's a big one?
But like last week, it's probably 205 to 210 in hot weather. And then like we talked about, you know, if I have a situation where, you know, it's warm, like last week, I had a situation where it was, you know, 217 pin, it was back pin. And I'd rather hit a hard one and come up short than, you know, hit a nice, every time, you know, you're thinking, okay, let's take some off a 5, hit it smooth, and you nut it right on the screws and it goes over the green. So
yeah, a smooth 5 is really a hard 6. Once you start losing loft, trying to smooth a club with less loft, not easy.
Yeah. So in instance, you know, like I said, I'll put about a ball back, and kind of bring more of, you know, my old Cameron, which a little more lean on it, you know, and you know, I hit it to about 10 feet just short of the hole. So.
Okay, so if it hit that stock 6, and we'll give you the feedback and tell you what it was. Knowing that I want you to produce what you think your number is.
So 204? Hit it 204.
And that was on a string.
That's got to be pretty close.
It flew 194.
Okay.
Uphill.
Uphill into. Hey, you know what? They used to be hit at 204 and they go 227. So I'm glad that that thing's coming up shorter now.
So if I want to put a little more on it, I'd put it back a touch. And it basically almost just turns it into almost a 5-iron, 6.5 iron. I overdid that, but usually almost all those shots, it's kind of like you said, it's a hold off feeling. Because when I stay back, I'll flip it. So
Yeah, that's
more
flew
so.
206.
Yeah, see, so it's kind of a. For me, I feel like I love those shots if I need them. Like you said, it's more just rotation, and it feels almost like a super hold off because I have so much angle on it. I can't. You know, if I get stuck like that one I did, I stay back. The only option for me is.
So you mentioned feel. What does really good impact feel like for you?
For me, it feels balanced. It doesn't even. I feel when I have good impact, I feel like everything's in sequence, and I'm able to just. I feel balanced. I don't feel off or on my heels or on my toes. Just everything is in sequence and perfect.
What do you think the ball feels? I think the ball feels what all those wide receivers felt from Ronnie Lott, you know? So technically, with watching out Cam Crate's speed, if he did go as to become a defensive back, he would have absolutely lit people up. It's that power. It's basically power is
power
it's a
in
function
back.
of strength, it's a function of time, it's a function of distance. So when you look at power, him going to the gym and getting really strong isn't probably going to speed him up as much. It's good in the rough, things like that. But he's a combination of strength and speed. But he wasn't this, when he was 14 or when I first met him at 15, he was a strong kid, but he wasn't that strong. So he's a whip. So he's just a system of elasticity.
We are going to have a few people who are going to ask some questions. So we're going to ask, I think we have 3 people who are going to be asking questions. So if you'll go to where you need to go to, and